Good morning, everybody. I see you guys filtering in. We'll give you a second to get situated and we'll get started. All right, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the Central Carolina Area Agency on Aging April webinar. This month's webinar is all about Parkinson's. We're very excited. Just first, a couple Zoom features. You are automatically muted because we are in webinar mode, so you won't be able to see the other participants, but you will be able to see speakers and hosts. And so if you have questions, we're going to answer those at the end. If you just want to put them in the chat box, we'll be monitoring that. We are recording this session, and so if you want to watch it later, it'll be available on our website. And then also, if you're here live today, you will get a certificate of attendance. I know that's important to quite a few people. And so that will come to you in your email probably within about 4 or 5 days. All right, I'm going to turn things over to Molly real quick. She's going to introduce our speaker and then we'll get going.
All right, today we're hearing from Ann Marie Worman, and Ann Marie began her career with the organization as a board member and chair of the Support Services Committee. She served as the interim administrator and administrative manager for the Parkinson's Association of the Carolinas until May of 2016, when she was selected to be the executive director. She received her certification from Wake Forest Charlotte in Business Essentials for Nonprofits. Previous to joining this organization, Ann Marie worked in the senior living industry and marketing, sales, and admissions at several communities in the Charlotte area. Ann Marie was born in Miami, Florida, and moved to Charlotte in 1981, so she now considers herself a North Carolinian. She enjoys her work with the Parkinson Association of the Carolinas as it allows her to meet amazing people she might not otherwise have had the opportunity to meet who are on their Parkinson's journey. When not leading the Parkinson's Association, she spends time with her husband, their 13 blended grandchildren, and 2 dogs. So without further ado, Ann Marie.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. I look at that picture and realize I really need to get that updated. Okay, so thank you for that. I'm excited to be here with you all, especially because April is Parkinson's Disease Awareness Month. So this is a big month for us when we try to roll out a lot of educational opportunities and just bringing awareness to the disease and how we can connect with all of you in the community. You can go ahead. So, well, what is Parkinson's disease? Hopefully on this call, there's a mix of people who work in the healthcare community and might know what it is or not. Hopefully, maybe there's some people with Parkinson's and maybe some caregivers as well. So Parkinson's disease is a chronic and progressive brain disease. Basically, it's the death of these certain cells in the brain known as neurons. When those neurons start to die off that produce dopamine, it sends a message to the part of the brain that controls the movement and coordination. So when that happens, it triggers the non-motor and motor symptoms of PD. So let me just talk about that for a minute. The disease affects everyone differently. As with any chronic disease, that's the biggest thing I try to impart on people, is that you may see this person over here to your left with Parkinson's and one to your right, and your journey may look nothing like theirs. So everyone is different and it affects everyone differently. And the symptoms can change from day to day. Someone else might progress more rapidly than you might ever progress. You have to kind of be playing this sort of fluid game with Parkinson's to be ready for any change. As I mentioned, when that dopamine starts to die off, what happens is it triggers symptoms that can include what we call non-movement symptoms. Those are things like gut issues, sleep insomnia issues. It can be taste and smell issues that go. A lot of times these are the symptoms that no one knows are Parkinson's, and they get attributed to something else. The fatigue, the insomnia, maybe the doctor tells you you've got a lot of stress going on. Let's try some sleep therapy. Loss of sense of taste and smell, especially nowadays, if someone has had COVID in the past, it's hard to really differentiate between that. And then the gut issue. There's a lot of scientists out there who believe that Parkinson's actually starts in the gut from a protein that causes this issue and makes its way to the brain, which then causes that dopamine decrease. So those are the kind of things that are hard to really diagnose for Parkinson's: depression, anxiety. The ones that really will show are when you have shaking or a tremor in your hand or tremor in your foot. You might have some rigidity in the muscles where you have a leg that just won't bend, and problems with balance. Those are just some. But those are the ones that when people actually start exhibiting those symptoms, those are when a doctor can start to more readily diagnose the disease. So people ask all the time, well, what causes Parkinson's? Is it hereditary? There has been no scientific study or results that say it's hereditary. There is a specific gene that can be identified in someone who has Parkinson's. And if someone gets that genetic study and they do find out they have that gene, then they're able to pass that on to their family members and let them know, hey, I did pass positive for this gene. I have it. It doesn't mean you do, but you might, and then they may want to go get genetically tested. But otherwise, it's not hereditary. There have been a lot of things lately coming out in the news. I'm sure you've heard about causes for Parkinson's. Most recently, the toxic water situation at Camp Lejeune. If people were serving there or lived there during a certain time frame, the toxic water could cause Parkinson's. We do know that anyone who was exposed to direct exposure to Agent Orange during Vietnam, that's also a cause of Parkinson's. Also, the ingredients in pesticides, specifically paraquat, is being linked to Parkinson's. You'll hear about people like Michael J. Fox and Muhammad Ali, and you think, well, they didn't have any of those. What happened? There is some belief and study around impact, specifically with Muhammad Ali being a boxer, and that the continual hits to the head could have killed off some of those cells that then created the Parkinson's trigger. Same thing with Michael J. Fox. He played hockey really young a lot and took some hits to the helmet. But not sure. That hasn't been completely finalized in studies and research. With Parkinson's, though, while there's currently no cure, there are treatment options available, such as medication therapy and surgery to manage the symptoms that come along with it. Next, please. So how is it diagnosed? Like we talked about, your diagnosis sometimes is made by your general doctor, because that's who a lot of people go to first if they see some odd symptoms. They may send you to a neurologist. And I always tell people, you want to see a neurologist if your general practitioner thinks you have Parkinson's. They're actually the best people to treat it because it is a neurological disorder, a nervous system condition, which is what they treat. One step beyond that is a movement disorder specialist. And I'll mention that here again somewhere. They actually went through 2 extra years of fellowship training to work specifically with people who have movement disorders, such as Parkinson's, ALS, and others. So that neurologist is going to do a physical exam. And I've actually had it because I wanted to see, what do people go through? And it is really a series of just, hands out, palms down, click your fingers, do these kinds of things. They watch the way you walk down a hallway. They'll watch the way you come back down the hallway. There's a lot of little cues they're looking for in your physical exam that can help them determine if this is Parkinson's. They also may decide to suggest that you have a scan called a dopamine transporter scan or a DAT scan. And although it can help support the suspicion that you have Parkinson's, it's still really your symptoms and the results of a neurological exam that are going to really determine that correct diagnosis. And I do know a few people here and there who've had the DAT scan, they've had the physical exam, neurological exam. They say they think it's Parkinson's because sometimes it's still not quite there. There's just some things that aren't adding up. So most people don't require a DAT scan. We are seeing people going in earlier and getting diagnosed younger and more people. And I get that a lot. Why are so many people being diagnosed with Parkinson's? I believe, my own personal belief is that so many more people are in tune with their physical being. They're more in tune with how their body works and doesn't work. And when they see something that isn't working, they're not just brushing it off anymore. They're paying more attention to it. They're like, well, let me look at that for a little while. What is that? So I think that kind of plays into more people being diagnosed and maybe more people being diagnosed younger. Now, there is an interesting thing that has come about over the last year, I'd say, year and a half, where doctors can perform a skin biopsy. They take it in 3 different places in the body, I believe the shoulder, behind the knee somewhere, and down near the ankle. They determined that those 3 places were the best places to catch this particular protein through a skin biopsy. And it can identify people who have Parkinson's disease or similar disorders with a high degree of accuracy. I recently attended a conference at the end of February for the North Carolina Neurological Society, and someone spoke about this, and it was a very high accuracy rate. I was surprised because it just has come on the scene in the last year. And at first I was like, the skin biopsy, but the more I've read, the more research I see, it really is an accurate way of telling, and a simple way. It's not super invasive. So you don't have to be under a scan with, exposure to radiation or what have you. So it's really great. Because of the skin test, this is an even better way to lead to earlier, more accurate diagnosis of any of the neurodegenerative conditions known as synucleinopathies. So just for the protein is called alpha-synuclein, and that's the protein that they are saying is what's causing the trigger for the dopamine decrease in Parkinson's. You can go to the next, please. So how is it treated? A lot of different ways, mostly with medication. So most people upon diagnosis are going to get a medication called carbidopa levodopa. This medication helps to balance, hopefully, that dopamine, replace, I should say, some of that dopamine that's decreasing in the brain so that someone can have a more balanced day. We'll talk a little bit about on times and off times. So people with Parkinson's, when they start their medication, they're probably going to be on it, depending on where they are in their symptoms, 3, maybe 4 doses a day. And you're going to take a dose, and what's going to happen is it's going to work for a while, and then it's going to taper off. And then you're going to start to feel your symptoms again. And it may or may not be the next time for your medication. So you kind of have to deal with that until the next time. And that's really pretty much what the day is. It's an increase as you're getting that medication, and it's pumping up, and then it tapers off. So we now have so many other medications that can work in conjunction with that carbidopa levodopa that extend your on times. So your on time is up here, and you want to stay up here as much as possible. And that's what these other medications can do before tapering off, so that hopefully now, if you're tapering off, you're getting close to that time for your second medication. And these other medications come in so many different forms. They can be a pill, they can be an inhaler. There's one that's under the tongue. There's an injection that you can do. It's similar to like an EpiPen. A lot of people love that, by the way. They say that works really well, but there's so many complementary medications to that carbidopa levodopa that can help extend those on times, because that's what you want. You want to be able to have more on time. And then of course, off times is that time where it's tapering and the medication isn't working well. So besides medication, there's also some other complementary therapies. One is called DBS surgery, or deep brain stimulation. This is so fascinating to me. It's changed so much in the last 15 years since they started doing it, and it's gotten so much better. So basically, it involves implanting sensors and wires in the top of the brain. There's two sections that they put poles down into, and then the wires are so tiny, tiny thin. But they're directed down the back of your skull, in an area where they end up being kind of placed where a pacemaker might be. And the device actually looks very similar to a small pacemaker, and it's just under your skin. And I know that sounds kind of weird and Frankensteinish, but once you get over all the surgery and everything, people are just living such fantastic lives because it's taking away their tremors. It's helping with so many other things. They're back to playing tennis. They're back to cycling. So it is a really good surgery, but a lot goes into it. Um, once so you then receive a remote control basically, and once you've cleared all the barriers and everything afterwards to making sure they have you at the right levels, you then can control what you need. I actually sat in a meeting one time with someone who said that they could feel their face freezing, which is a common symptom of Parkinson's. It felt like his face was just like this. He could feel it tightening up. So he took out his remote, he clicked it a couple times, and within 10 minutes, he was completely relaxed. It was an amazing thing to watch. So this is such a great alternative therapy for people. And to have that control over, what you need when you need it. There's also a pump that delivers medication directly into the stomach. If anyone out there is familiar with the diabetic pump, it works very much the same way. It just gets connected into the stomach, because again, that's where a lot of researchers are saying they believe Parkinson's starts is in the gut. So this particular company decided to attack it from the gut and start the medication there. A lot of people have enjoyed the success of that. And that company actually makes wearable items so that you can like hide the pump in things like a winter vest or jackets or things like this. So it's kind of interesting that they didn't just, here's a pump, but they also worked with a company to devise apparel that makes it look okay for wearing it, and that's what we want. We want that dignity. We want to look okay. People with Parkinson's don't want to be different, look different. They know they are, their family knows they are, but they want to get out there and try to maintain the same status they've always had. So other therapies that doctors will recommend are also exercise. That's key. I know one doctor who gives you a prescription and lets you know about rock steady boxing. So it's kind of hand in hand with them. And so let's talk a little bit about exercise. Why is that? It's because when you're doing that exercise, research has proven your dopamine increases. Even if it's for like an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, it increases that amount of dopamine you are getting until it starts to taper back off. And we have a doctor here, a research scientist in Charlotte, and he's done research papers with people across the globe, locally, and just over and over again. Exercise is the best thing you can do. So what types of exercise are out there? Well, these are some branded programs that have been in the Parkinson's community for quite a while. Rock Steady Boxing. I'm not sure where everyone is located. I know that in Charlotte, we have a couple of those. In South Carolina, they do. Across North Carolina, they do. And it might not be the quote Rock Steady Boxing trademarked, but there's some Parkinson's boxing out there that probably is going to be pretty good. There's also a specific exercise class called Power Moves. That one works a lot on strengthening, balance, core, really making you strong so that your muscles don't get fatigued as badly. You don't have balance issues and you don't have falls. But Power Moves is an excellent exercise class. You have to have less physical restrictions to really participate in Power Moves. So if you're further along in your journey, that might not be the best for you, but I wouldn't discount going to a class and checking with the person and finding out whether or not you would fit in. Now, yoga for Parkinson's is something that we offer free for everyone. We have classes all the way up to Mooresville, down to Fort Mill, across Charlotte, Rock Hill. lots of places. And it is specifically designed by our instructor who has her master's in yoga therapy and recently for Parkinson's. So everything she brings to it is specific to the person with Parkinson's in her class. She's specifically looking for ways to help you with that balance. She's specifically looking for ways to help you with your gut by different moves and breathing, specifically looking for ways to help you with any of the things that can be controlled or changed or molded differently through yoga. And all of our yoga is done from a chair or standing behind a chair. So if you're someone who's like, oh, but I could do mine from the floor, that's fine. Go ahead and go talk to Aminta. That is her name. If you go to our website, which you'll see later. And she may be able to accommodate you. It's not something, we don't want to create a barrier for somebody who's still fairly active but wants to participate. Just have to make sure you're safe and good. Pedaling for Parkinson's, that's a really cool one. It's done on stationary bikes. We have a program out in just south of Wilmington, North Carolina, that we fund for pedaling for Parkinson's. And there's a group of about 8 or 9 people now. And it's a specific program, though, where you do have to get your pedaling up to a certain speed. So it's really hard workout, very hard workout. And you get up to a certain speed, and then you plateau, and then you cool down. So it's a series of that over and over, again, building up that dopamine. Dance for Parkinson's. So Dance for Parkinson's actually originated out of New York with a dance group, the Mark Morris Dance Group, and a wonderful instructor, David Leventhal. He's been here a couple of times for us and taught instructors how to teach it or put on a performance with Dance for Parkinson's. And it's not dance. It is some upbeat music at times, but the most of it is just fluid movement. The idea is that fluid movement, that constant moving and bending and stretching and turning, all kind of helps bring that balance again and core and everything together for the person with Parkinson's. They shared a video one time about a woman living in New York who had Parkinson's. She said it was very difficult to navigate her apartment without stumbling or what have you. And when she started the dance class, she found that if she just moved and danced through her apartment, she was able to go wherever she needed to without stumbling and falling. So there's a beautiful way that she was able to find an exercise, a fun thing to help adapt to her daily living that really made her life so much easier. And of course, Tai Chi. Tai Chi, again, is going to be for somebody who isn't further along and maybe doesn't have those balance issues, but you need to work on them early on. So Tai Chi is very good for Parkinson's. Now, I will tell you, we welcome all the caregivers. So if someone's spouse would like to come to them to yoga for Parkinson's, that's perfectly fine. If someone's spouse wants to come with them to Dance for Parkinson's, that's perfectly fine. There are some spouses who go to the boxing classes and the power moves classes around. So we want you to feel comfortable, and it doesn't mean that your caregiver, spouse, or child, whoever that is coming because they need to, steady you. It's coming because they're supporting that person with Parkinson's. It's something they can do together. It's something they can enjoy together as they're both on that journey. Before, though, you start any exercise class, please talk to your treating physician. Make sure that they feel that you would be a good candidate for anything regarding Parkinson's exercise. We can go to the next one. So for the caregiver, I promised I would give a lot of information for the caregiver today. Caregivers are the unsung hero when it comes to caring for a loved one with a chronic disease. They give, and then they give out. And that's something we try to, instill in our caregivers. Be careful with yourself, with your health, with taking self-care. Caring for someone with Parkinson's can be even more difficult because you're not just helping to manage physical symptoms, but there can also be cognitive issues involved with Parkinson's disease. Right? So not only are you trying to balance this person's physical, but you're trying to work through their changing memory and cognitive issues, which affects everything. So it's a tough one. It's really a tough one. Learning everything you can from the person with Parkinson's physician and their care team is going to be crucial. You want to know everything what they're doing. What is their medication? How often should they be taking it? How should it be taken? Things like that, so that you can assist your person with being independent if they're able and taking their medications and doing their regimen, or being that person who has to do it for them. Don't search the internet. I tell everyone, don't search the internet. You'll find a myriad of information that isn't always reliable, as we all know when we search different things. Speak to your physician's office. Call us. That's what we do. I'll speak to that a little bit more at the end, but call the local Parkinson's organization. We can provide you with a lot of resources and information that will be accurate and correct and will make you feel better than perhaps if you read something on the internet. So communication, I would say, is one of the key things between the person with the disease and their caregiver. Every year we have a symposium in September, and every year we have the same topic, caring for the caregiver. And it's attended by both the person with Parkinson's and the caregiver. And we do that purposely so that person with Parkinson's understands exactly what that caregiver is dealing with, from not just an emotional level or a physical level, but everything beyond. They may still be the person who's always run the household, but now they have to run the household and manage a chronic disease. So we do that talk together, and it's always well received. And we always hear great things from the person with Parkinson's about their caregivers. It's a really cool session to watch them, really kind of appreciate one another, not for the first time, but just again, look at each other and be like, yeah, thank you for taking care of me. I forget how hard it is, You want to let your caregiver know, if you're the person with Parkinson's, what you specifically need. So many people, and I hate to say it, but a lot of men, so many people don't want to say, I need help with anything. And then they struggle. And then it's not just a struggle for the person with Parkinson's, but then it becomes frustrating for the caregiver because they want to help. It's inherent, it's natural. We want to help you. You're struggling. Let me assist you. So communication is the best thing. Be upfront, be honest, be transparent. Let your caregiver know what you need. And then let your caregiver know what you want to do on your own. Because sometimes caregivers, myself included, oh no, I'll do it for you, and you take that independence away from that person. So it's a tandem. You want to work together. What do you want me to do for you? What do you not want me to do for you? How can I help you? How am I not helping you by doing this? So it's going to be really important in managing that journey for both of you to be successful at it. So the caregiver, I also just want you to remember that losing movement ability can come with loss of dignity. And your loved one will want to try and hang on to that as much as possible. That's just normal. We all want that. We all want to have as much dignity and be as independent as we can. And some are going to be much more stubborn and in denial about letting go and giving in. Compassion, I would say, is going to be a big part of your relationship as well as they move through the various phases of Parkinson's. Just trying to understand and remember how they're feeling and what's being taken away from them a little bit, and how you can give that compassion to them. Next, please. Okay. So I say all that, but depending on the needs of your loved one, burnout is something that can creep up on you without even realizing it. Burnout is real for caregivers because, as I mentioned previously, you're giving. And so you have to make time for self-care. And I hear people say to me, when do I have time for that? I don't have time for that. Well, I mean, there has to be a time when your person is taking a nap or when your person is in an exercise class. Maybe you say, I'm going to drop you off and I'm going to go get a pedicure. Or I'm going to drop you off, but I'm going to go have lunch with somebody. Or I'm just going to sit in a car and read a book or listen to an audiobook. You really do have to figure out those moments where you can carve out time for yourself. Lean on other family, friends, and neighbors. I'm the worst at this. People will say, let me help you. Can I do this for you? No, 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 I'm good. When really it would have been helpful, but I feel like I can do it myself. So I'm as guilty of this as anyone, but I'm trying to learn to be better about accepting help when I really need it. So if your family or your friends, your neighbors are offering, think of a time that you can really use their help for two reasons. One, it will help you. It will help you get what you need. Two, it'll make them feel so good. It'll make them feel that they were useful to you, that they were able to provide something you needed and could use. It's a two-way street there. So, lean on them for help like that. It could be that someone's willing, a neighbor, hey, could you come over and just, hang out with Frank while I run to the grocery store? He's going to be taking a nap soon, whatever that might be. You can be creative, but, don't hesitate to use family, friends, and neighbors if they offer to help you. It's also very important for you to keep up your physical health. You really shouldn't put off your annual exams, any specific doctor appointments. Don't say that, oh, well, I'm just not going to take care of that right now. If you have to reschedule it and can do that, that's what you should do. But don't just brush off something that could lead to something bigger. And then not only are you having to care for your person with Parkinson's, now you're having to care for yourself with some health issue that wasn't expected. So I encourage people all the time who are caregivers, tend to your mental health and tend to your physical health just as much as you are for your loved one. So again, as I mentioned earlier, we do encourage caregivers to attend our exercise classes. We have lots of spouses who come to our yoga and dance classes. They enjoy it. It keeps them fit. It keeps them balanced. It keeps their muscles limber. And so if you're able and can participate, we welcome you to come. And if I didn't mention it, all our exercise classes are free. No one ever pays for an exercise class. So come on in, try it. If it's not your thing, that's fine too. But don't hesitate to join your loved one. Again, I look at that two ways. One, it's helping you with self-care, right? You're going to a yoga class, or you're going to a dance for Parkinson's class, and you're giving yourself some self-care there, but you're also supporting your loved one who has Parkinson's by showing them that you're interested in this class and you want to see what they're doing, and you all can practice it at home. If you're someone who is a caregiver and you are still working full-time, and your finances allow, obviously you can enlist the help of a home care companion. They can come in the place of a neighbor, family, or friend if you don't have those available, who can just sit with your person, have a chat, make them lunch, run errands with them, take them to get their hair cut, what have you. Have them meet you somewhere at a doctor appointment so you can be there. If you're in that situation, it's helpful to be able to do that. Not everyone is, and so I understand that. You can go to the next one. So, conclusion, what do I want to impart on you? I want to impart on the people out there with Parkinson's, do everything you can within your physical ability, mental ability to take care of yourself. Exercise if you can. Find the right one that works for you, or the combination. I have people who do boxing and yoga every week. That they do a boxing class and a yoga class every week. I have people who do dance and yoga. So find what works for you, but do some exercise if you're physically able, because that is, like I said, it's just key in pumping up that dopamine and helping you stay on longer with your symptoms. Understand what your caregiver is having to do for you. Understand that there is going to be some, mental stress for them, and even some physical stress that they're physically assisting you, and work together to communicate and try to understand each other, have compassion for each other. And the same thing for the caregiver, same thing goes there. Take care of yourself. You've got to practice self-care. even if it's a few minutes of just sitting with your eyes closed, and maybe you're outside and you can just hear the birds or the trees or what have you. Hopefully not construction in Charlotte that you're listening to, that you're having to listen to. But just have compassion with each other and live the best journey that you can with using all of these resources and therapies available to you. For the people who are in the healthcare field out there who may work in a facility that has people with Parkinson's, I would ask for compassion. We are getting ready to offer a series of in-services to senior communities that have Parkinson's patients, so that the staff can understand that when someone freezes in a doorway, it's not that they're being difficult or stubborn. The brain literally won't let them move. That's another symptom. It could be 10 minutes before things unclick and they're able to walk. So that's something we want to be able to share with communities so they're better educated on how Parkinson's symptoms manifest and what are some things they can do to assist that person with Parkinson's. And that way, you all aren't getting patients who are agitated, patients who are frustrated, staff who's frustrated. It's a win-win for everyone. So I would ask everyone in the healthcare community to reach out to us if you're interested in training, but learn as much as you can about some of those basic symptoms, what they look like, how do they present, and what you can do for them. Now, obviously, we're here. We are your local boots on the ground Parkinson organization. We were founded in 2002. We've been around over 20 years. We're located in Charlotte, but we serve both Carolinas. So we have educational workshops that we'll do, symposiums, our free exercise classes. We have support groups across both states. And when you call our office, our care advisors, which is our staff, are going to listen to you. What is it that you're struggling with? What is it you need? What help do you need? And then we're going to look for those resources for you so you don't get frustrated going out on the internet trying to find something to help you accomplish this task. We'll be there for you to do that. If we don't know the answer right away, we're going to say, I'm not familiar with that. I don't know if someone provides that in your area. Let me research it and we'll get back to you. But we're going to let you know one way or the other. We're here for you as a support. We're here for you as a resource. We want to help you along your journey. We want to connect you to specialists, physicians, therapies, classes, whatever it is you're looking for. The phone numbers on there are the best ways to reach us. And that's our website. If you visit that, you'll be able to find all of the listings of our exercise classes. You'll be able to contact us to find a support group near you. Those are ever changing, so we don't advertise those on our website, but there's a lot of good information out there. We have some educational events coming up outside of Wilmington in April, and in Charlotte in September, and then some others this month virtually that you can hear specialists talking about various things to do with Parkinson's. So there's some great webinars. Take a look at the website. Sign up for our emails so you can get our monthly newsletter that gives you even more information. We try to provide information going on across the state. So it could be a study at Appalachian State University that they're doing virtually, or that someone in that area could participate in. We do things from Medical University, South Carolina. So we're not just providing you ours, we're connecting you to everything that we know about that we think you should. So I hope that was informative and helped you a little bit in your journey with Parkinson's.
Thank you, Ann Marie. Guys, this is a great time to put questions in the chat. We have time for questions. Let me take a look. Let's see, I have a comment that says, will you please direct us to the community healthcare education resources? We definitely have a need in some of our local field nursing facilities.
Well, if you want to reach out to us, are you talking about if they're talking about the in-services I was talking about, then if you'll reach out to us at one of those phone numbers, we can let you know about that.
Perfect. Seeing lots of excellent information. She says she's in South Georgia. Let's see. So I know that's not your area.
No, but you'd be surprised. I get calls from all over, and I'll go on and Google and find a resource for them. So that's, we just want to make sure people get connected. So but since I don't have them or their information, that's what I would do is if you're looking for a support group or just resources, I would Google Parkinson's Resources South Georgia. I know that there are a few organizations in the state.
Let's see. I see somebody asking about the skin test you mentioned. I don't know if they want the name of it or what areas they have it. Do you know more about that in particular?
Sure. So more than likely, it's going to be done by a movement disorder specialist who is a neurologist. Not sure what area they're in, but if they're in North Carolina, goodness, we have quite a few. We have 4 just here in Charlotte, movement disorder specialists. One just started in Huntersville or just moved to the Huntersville area. There's several at Duke and Durham. There's several at UNC in Chapel Hill. There's several at Atrium Wake Baptist. So there's just a bunch of them. And what's the name of the company? I want to say it's SYN, SYN1 ONE is the name of the company that developed the test. But you're going to get that done. I don't believe regular neurologists are offering that skin biopsy. I'm pretty sure you have to see a movement disorder specialist. And if you call us with whatever area you're in, we can give you the names of some of those doctors.
Awesome. This person says, my husband was diagnosed with Parkinson's 2 years ago. When are more invasive therapies such as surgery appropriate?
So really, I'll tell you, you want to talk to your physician about that. Now, so if you're seeing a movement disorder specialist, not every, I'll just say MDS to be short, does deep brain stimulation surgery. There's a few. In Charlotte, it's Dr. Englert at Atrium. She is the one who currently does deep brain. So otherwise, you got to go to Duke, UNC, Wake Baptist. So she's the only one here and the surgeon here as well. Even Novant doesn't have a physician doing deep brain. They refer theirs to Atrium. And it's really all a matter of the specific symptoms. I will tell you things like deep brain stimulation is not going to help somebody who shuffles in their gait. That's not something that helps. If somebody has a tremor in a foot, tremors in their hands, tremors in their bodies, things like that, that's really going to help that. So a conversation with your physician asking that question is going to be the best thing because they know you best. They know your situation best.
Yeah. And let's see, I see one more. Is there a place that you recommend that has devices that could help with eating, like, for example, weighted spoons?
Yes. So North Carolina actually has a North Carolina assistive device. And if I can get their information, even if it's just an email, I don't know if they feel comfortable putting their email in the chat or not. Is that where it was?
Let's see, it was in the Q&A, but if this individual wants to put it in the Q&A, I can send that over to you.
Yeah, and then I can forward you that information because what's nice is that if they still have it, I haven't checked recently, they have a program where you could actually, loan out the item and see how it works and whether it works for you before actually getting it. But you also can purchase them online if you look for Parkinson's eating utensils, those will come up. It's interesting. I just worked with a group of super smart high school students from Greenville schools, and they are working on a paintbrush for people with Parkinson's who have tremors. I've been working with them and consulting with them a little bit, and they're trying to make this device based on the eating utensils, very similar premise. So people who used to be able to paint and have had to stop can hopefully paint again with their Parkinson's.
Yeah, that's really cool. Let's see, I did see somebody post something. Could you touch on Parkinson's related dementia? I think tips for focus and communication.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's it's interesting because some people actually have Lewy body Parkinson's. And if that person has Lewy body Parkinson's, we always refer them to the Alzheimer's Association because it's going to be way more dementia memory than Parkinson's. They have just the best resources for all of that, how to work with somebody. But I have found too, depending on the level of what the cognitive issue is, if someone is forgetful about brushing their teeth or is forgetful about putting something away, sticky notes sometimes helps right there. If it's right there at that item, don't forget to, or just put toothbrush away, things like that. If it's cueing and working with them to get them to navigate, for instance, through the house, I find that, and I've heard from other people say that by holding their hand and letting them know ahead of time, we're going to go over here. And if they can look at that and they can understand that, then sometimes that helps by just giving them that cue at the beginning of helping them understand what you're trying to do and that they're okay and that you can move them forward. But again, even with, if it's a lot of cognition issues, we can send you some information on that. Or you can Alzheimer's, local Alz, they're very good. They have a lot of cognition stuff. And we work with them a lot on using their things to pass on to people with Parkinson's. So either way you could go and get great information.
Awesome.
But that's what I would do for queuing, if that works for your person.
Yeah. Well,
It's all trial and error.
yeah. All right. I think that's all the questions we have. So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm seeing lots of thank yous and great information. So everybody, you will get your information via email. Ann Marie, I'll put your information in there so people have it. I think people probably have follow-up questions as well.
Sure,
But
absolutely.
thank you.
I'm happy to. Yeah. No, thank you for letting me be here and provide the information and be a resource for people. We're happy to do it. Oh, I saw a heart floating. Thank you.
Yeah, I did too. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.